over there a while ago that the word komaya, the name komaya, means wealth. But in fact it means wealth in such a way that wealth could be translated as the purity. So you will see here purity, and you will find it here again. But this purity refers to the wealth. You will find the purity or the wealth of the womb of life, that is the ocean of love. There are so many Lemurian truths, so many insights that they have to offer still. But before we go on to these today, I would like to say to you, Meh, Yeneke, Ikaraya, Ich Imzaia. I, from the bottom of my heart, wish you a good day. Wish you a day filled with love, filled with joy, and filled with freedom. If you remember Adamus, the first day of the seminar, at the end of his second channeling, he told you you would be feeling like crap by the end of the second day. Well, the crap has been felt. The experience has been had. And it's time for us now to look deep within, to look at what happened, to look at the power of the soul and the true value of that which you call humanity. For we all have power within. We all carry strength. But also, we carry that which we call the mind, that which we call the ego. Now this ego, this mind energy, is something that is very easily neglected because it is not seen, it isn't felt, you can't hear it, you can't touch it, you can only experience it. And the problem with the experience of mind is that it is something that is actually celebrated on this planet. Having the power of mind within, wanting to be the first, wanting to arrive there first, making it, getting things done, walking above all the others, all of that is the power of the mind. And it is revered. Don't be mistaken about this. It is revered in today's society. What can we do about this? How can we work with it? Those are the questions that we're going to be answering in the coming 3 days. Before we go there, I would like to give all of you the opportunity to go deep within the self. And in that space that you call your body, to recognize there a field of energy, that which science has called the thymus or the thymus. A field which is boundless. It has no walls. It has no barriers. It has infinite space available to you. Infinite joy available to you. The energy of love and the purity of freedom available to you. Here on this earth, we value love as we find it outside of ourselves. We find joy when we find it outside of ourselves, and we think freedom is the pursuit of our very desire. Following your heart's desire, people then say. Freedom has nothing to do with the external world. You can be in jail, and you can be free. Freedom comes from within. And it doesn't need to be judged. It doesn't need to be shown. It just is what it is. In that space, here, in the center of your chest, you can find that freedom. You can find that joy and you can find that love. The beauty in the many conversations I have with people is that at first, everybody who comes, everybody who needs to speak, thinks that that freedom is without. And they know about the power of the heart. Everybody knows about the power of the heart. But actually experiencing that power and working with it is something quite different. Now, in that space, in your heart, here, right after the thymus energy, is a power that belongs to you. Only it has been hidden so very deep that it is impossible sometimes to find that power. It is impossible sometimes to see it or to grasp it. And then people have a tendency to start working on themselves. And they start doing workshops. And then they start reading the books. And then they start going to the sessions. Or whatever it is they do to work on themselves. And what is the reason for that work? Even if it is found within the greatest of intent, in the highest of all potential, namely to help the world because you are here, to do something greater, still it is fired up by ego energy. And that's a very difficult concept to grasp for most people, because they think, if I'm working on myself, if I'm doing all of these things, it must be that I am on a good path. But this is about universal love. Not even about unconditional. It is about universal joy. And it is about universal freedom. And that space, that room within, that universe, that cosmos within, once you find that, you are in such an unconditional love that it transmutes into universal love. And then you will notice that you will no longer need to do anything. You will no longer need to go to anything. You will be in a space where your energy will raise itself naturally. That sentence was spoken by Toraya, Shasaya and Kamalaya, if I'm not mistaken, in the Declaration of New Energy. That energy tends to raise itself naturally. But you need to be in the space where you will allow this to happen. And that is the space of universal love, where you automatically will be there, will recognize all the world as you, all the universe as you, without any type of boundary. And if you are in that space, then yes, this will happen. Then you need to do nothing, because all of your actions come naturally in the raising of energy. And this is the space where mind, in Dutch denkgeest, obviously, where mind will no longer have a hold on you. It can't, because all there is at that point is a space beyond duality, that which you call the heart. The akene, which goes beyond the heart. The akene begins at the heart, right here. And as everybody here probably knows, it takes a direct line up to the second part of the brain, which is the mammal brain. From that point, it goes into the third brain, which is the space where all of our memories are stored. I want to repeat this to you to make it very clear. But the memories that we store are no good if we allow our future experiences to be dependent upon them. If you have fear, for instance, that a situation might occur before it has even taken place, then you will be in the third brain, already building up from past experience that event which might occur. And you don't want to be there. The only reason why the third brain is interesting is that which we call the memory of the now, where you construct a now for yourself, a now energy, a now space for yourself, based on what you know, but not limited by what you know. Based on what can come out of your past experience to be created anew, not to be repeated. That is the energy of the memory of the now, and it is available to you in the third brain. And then if you close that triangle of energy, if you close it right back by letting the flow go back to the thymus, then you create your basic akene. It's basically a first step for those who want to learn how to work with it. And if you want to do that yourself, or if you want to teach other people, then give them this at first, because it takes a while to understand that there is divinity here behind the thymus. 144 cells of lemniscarian infinite energy. And I repeat what that is. It is the atom of the cell and the electron of the cell not going around the atom core, but creating an infinity loop. The electrons go infinitely through the cell core, through the atom. And as such, the cell is not losing power, which will create your old age and your disease and what have you not, but it will build on itself. 144 divine cells, which are the basis of your akene, which are the basis of everybody's akene, because everybody in the world is to be found there. You sitting right there, and you sitting right there are in the same space. Although it seems like you are a few meters apart, it will take you the illusion of time to cross that gap. No, it is right here. If you want to communicate with everybody, anybody, you don't need to try to find them somewhere, because they won't be anywhere. All you need to do is go here and communicate here. If I want to talk to Ambika, for instance, if I want to communicate with her, or if I want to invite her to come over, like I was in my room yesterday, all I do is go to that space and communicate with her, because she is here. When I'm in that room and I want to communicate with her, she is not here in this room, because then I would actually give in to the power of the mind and to the power of illusion, you see. All I need to do is communicate to my own heart center, for that is where she is. And all those people practicing telepathy, what do? They use the mind to communicate from one space to another space. It is still based on illusion, and at a certain point you will hit a wall. So you got the triangle. Can I use you? Okay. So you got the triangle right here. This point, and this point. Creating a triangle through the head all the way back here. Now there is a space, a second stage of the akene activation, where people might run into a problem, and I've heard it countless times, because if you are one that has a problem with the following stage, this is normal. You've got your neocortex here, right in the center of the forehead. It is basically the fourth brain. It is a space where no time, no space is present. And as such, you are not linked to linearity when you are in that space of the head. You are in a space of concept imagination, fantasy. Now what have all of you been taught as children? Imagination is no good. You shouldn't fantasize. You should think about the real world. You should be in the real world. Get a job. Make sure you get a degree. You have to go to university. Don't play around thinking all day. You have to get a job. You have to take all of that knowledge that society has to offer and pump it right into the third brain. So that you as a parrot, at a certain point, can sit in front of a professor and barf it all out. And then you get an A. Then you get a degree. And then you got some time for a holiday. And then the society which is mine really slatches onto you. Because then you got a job. And then your time is even more divided than it was before. And then you have to make sure that you go through traffic jams every morning. Unless you get the fun, you find the fun of becoming self-dependent. Then you have to start filling out all the forms, you know. But, as I know from personal experience, as Kamaya has told me before, as a child, even though this was said to you, you would still wander away. Because she knew intuitively, and every child knows intuitively, about the power of dreams, about the power of imagination, fantasy. The only difference between the world of dreams and the world of reality is that linearity is handled in a different light. In this reality, as you are in right now, because I hope most of you are awake, you are stuck on a linear paradigm. And you have to take one step after the other, after the other, after the other, and you are in 3D. In your dreams, you are still in the same space, but you are no longer limited to a linear field. You can actually jump the timeline, and that's what you do. And you can't just jump the one timeline, you can jump from timeline to timeline to timeline, which is a much more natural process anyway. So that is why the neocortex is so very important in the akene activation. How do you get this wonderful instrument that is basically another representation of divinity within the body itself? How do you get this wonderful instrument to be interlinked with the first akene activation? It's very simple. Within the center of the triangle of the akene, you have a very specific and special gland, and science is slightly discovering this right now. It will get better at it. It's called the pineal gland. The pineal. And the pineal gland is right there. Can I open your head for a while? It's right there, here, in the center of the brain. If I were to go to the center of her brain right now, I would be touching the pineal gland. You see? So what you do, and that pineal gland is basically at the center, in the middle of your triangle that you have created. Now, if you take the neocortex and connect all that energy and take it, it's not working anymore, I think. Is the battery dead? Yeah, the battery is dead. Well, just a minute. Yes. Okay. Now, if you take that energy, which is the neocortex, and you take it right into the pineal gland, then you take it into the center of your akene. Now, we're 2008 almost, so at the end of 2008, beginning of 2009, you will see that science will discover the unlimited potential that is to be found right there in the pineal gland. You will notice that at the end of 2009, and I don't like to do predictions, but I'm going to do anyway because it's no longer a prediction, it's a certainty. At the end of 2009, you will see the ability of science, married to spirituality at that point, to beat, well, beat is actually a wrong word, to neutralize any type of disease. Be it a mental type of disease, be it a physical type of disease, psychological or emotional, even ecological. All disease is directly linked to the pineal gland not sending its information directly into the rest of the body. And when I mean the body, I mean the world, I mean the universe. So that's the importance of the pineal gland. If you take all the power of neocortex and put it onto the pineal gland, you have the beginning of the second activation of that which is the akene. And this is where most people have problems, because then you need to do something three-dimensionally. And I have not yet found the time to create the right schematics for you to see, but I will, together with Ming's. Oh, there she is. At a certain point, create some sort of 3D model that will move, so you will see what happens. But if now, can I turn you around? Yes, thank you. Fun, huh? So if, just think we are in the center of the brain right now, and of course I can't go into that center, but I will do it in front of her head, so it will, thank you, so it will be as if I'm in the center of her head. So I go there to that space, which is in the center of her head, and you have the triangle, right? You have the triangle right here, and you take that center and you pull it out. And what you create are two pyramids, one going this way and one going this way. The first akene activation that you used, which is the triangle, will now become the basis of these two pyramids. You see? Is there anybody here that doesn't understand? Because then I'll explain it again. Yes? You forgot? Okay. You want me to start all the way at the beginning? I'm just going to repeat it very quickly. So you got the thymus right here. Yes? You've got the back of the brain right here. And you've got the top of the brain. And then you make that triangle. You see? And you take the neocortex, you put it in the middle of the pineal gland, so you basically have your triangle and the center of it, and you tear that out. You pull it out to both sides. Like that point, you just pull it out, and what you create are... You see it?
Yeah, like this.
Yes. But it's two three-dimensional pyramids. You see it? You understand? You? Okay. We'll do exercises on this, so you'll get it better. This is the second akene activation. It's still a beginning, because it still is a build-up to what is to come. I'm going to find my coffee now. Most people, when they activate their akene, they work with these two principles that I've just shown you. First creating the triangle, and then making it 3D. As you create the two pyramids, it takes them about 2 to 4 months to actually start working with this on a daily basis. What I've just shown you is something that you should do the moment you wake up. Because as you wake up, especially the ones that are really going to go for the deletion of the mind, as you wake up, you will notice that your dreams, once you start no longer allowing the mind to be there in your present-day reality, you will start noticing that your dreams are going to take over that function. At first, the mind would play around in your 3D reality, and it would give you images, constant images that are projected in front of you. Your daily life are those images. And it would constantly feed you that information that would make you lower your energy and go deeper down into the ego. What happens when you no longer allow this to take place is that the mind will shift its field of focus into the dream state. And then you will begin dreaming about that which was your biggest desire. And you might be shocked what it was, because you will think my biggest desire might be sexually oriented, for instance. But at a certain point you might see that it is about killing people. You might be killing one person after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. Or you might be brought back to an old reality that you used to live in before you start this entire journey, before you start this entire process. You see? So as you go through these stages, it is very important at the beginning of every day to do this. It has been said in channelings and in ekarayas and in workshops over and over again. The first thing you do, even before you have opened your eyes, is do this. To create that field of energy that will allow you to step out of your bed, to throw back your sheets and to put your feet on the ground as a master energy. Because then you will create the reality that you are walking around in. And that doesn't mean manipulating everybody else. That doesn't mean that you are inhabiting your own personal space. It means that your space is getting bigger and that you understand that everybody and everything around you is you. And that you are it. Or them. And as such, you walk around with a divine responsibility to make neutral that which has been warped. To bring back into a field of neutrality all those things that are negative. All those things that are pain, shame, death, destruction, ego, basically. That is what you do at the beginning of each day, and you will see the impact you have if you do this. After 2 to 4 months, when you really are, what shall I say, when you really are comfortable with working with these two levels of akene. And at first I would even suggest that you just do the first level, just create a triangle. Until in every time when you find irritation, when you find judgment, when you find whatever, you create that triangle. And you remember that energy. And then, once it becomes so natural that you do it every time you breathe, because that's what dolphins do and whales do and turtles, they create. Every breath is a creation. And the Hawaiians know this. That's why the breath is sacred. In the morning they will get up and they will breathe to each side of the world, north, east, west, and south. So as you become familiar with this, and you are ready, and you have built up that triangle system yet again, then you are going to let it go. And how do you do that? By creating the inner Merkaba body. You all know what the Merkaba is. It is all around you. It is a divine energy, which is often called your own light ship. In Egypt, people used to work with it, to travel from space to space sometimes. But unfortunately, it was activated by technological magnetics back then, which was a leftover gift from Atlantis, where they used to work with magnetics, combining this with technology, huge magnets, that would allow the magnetic field of the body to speed up, you see. And as the body speeds up, the vibration goes up. And this is what the Atlanteans thought was a good process, because as that happened, as the vibration went up, the light body or the Merkaba body would start spinning. It would start spinning so quickly that actually it could ascend a person that did it oftentimes enough. But nobody knew what it actually ascended them into. And my precious ones, it ascended everybody into that which you call 4D, which is not the space you want to be in. Because 4D and 3D have no difference. There is no difference between 4D and 3D. The only difference is that the archetypical energy is much stronger there. And that means that you are in a dream state. A dream state that tends to repeat itself naturally. Not raise itself, but tends to repeat itself naturally. And what do you get then? And you get these horrible images and stories of people that have died and that keep repeating their death. You know these horror stories. Well, they're based on reality. It's not that this happens as you die, but it happens sometimes to those who ascend technologically, which is basically what society will offer you in about 10 years. About 10 years from now, if nothing is done, these types of technology will start to re-emerge again. I'm not saying this to frighten you, I'm just telling you that there is a different path. However, this path will be walked the moment the chipping technology enters into the reality. That is why so many people are warning you not to go into that chipping technology. It is not necessary. So don't let this happen to you. This is another way. And don't mean Ambika. She is the way. She is the way, yes.
What is shipping? What is shipping?
The chipping, the
Yes, I know.
yeah, like CH, yeah, implementing chips. A very good book about that was written by Marcel Messing. Although it is a lot, it's very fear-based. Some would say, well, actually, he just gives you a kick in the butt. He just tells you with every chapter and with every paragraph. Yes, come on.
I just want to mention that I have wrote this book, so if anyone wants to read it,
Great.
I can give it to you. So just ask.
That's great. And if you want to find out more about all of this, because there's so much going on, David Icke, for instance, is also one who writes fascinating books about this. And of course, a lot of movies that he makes, which I think during the break or so you can talk to Kepa, because Kepa, he stores all of these films that he finds on the internet and he places them on his YouTube or his MySpace sometimes, and he can give you the address where you can find all of these things if you want to hear more about that. But again, it is not necessary to focus on all this, it is just necessary to be informed about it and then choose again. That's all that it's about. You don't need to fear it. Yes, my darling.
I think we're talking about chips. I think about all the animals that are chipped now.
Already.
What about their consciousness?
Yes.
Because it's an influence on their consciousness, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is indeed. All the animals that are chipped. Well, I said it before in a personal conversation with a group of people, but the chipping of animals is not just about making sure that they can no longer get lost. It is basically about making sure that at one point, when it would become necessary, you can give them a type of impulse which would turn them against humanity.
Wow.
Some of you might know this. I know Wietske looks very shocked right now. But look, I'll tell you the process of what chipping technology actually does. It gives off neurotransmitters, neuroelectrical shocks, which can be used as a communication device. But if you want, you can neuroshock the brain of animals too into creating new thoughts. It's just about the frequency of the electricity that's being used. And that is the reason why everybody needs to be chipped, for the governments at least, so that when it would become necessary, all they need to do is to send the right frequencies into your brain so that the brain gets stimulated into creating certain thought processes.
Manipulation.
Yes, manipulation. Born to be wild. I see it. Manipulation. And it is happening on lower levels already. It is happening through advertising. They did it in the 50s already with these subliminal messages that were put in movies. And then they started doing it openly because it was a law now that you couldn't do it in the dark, that you couldn't do it hidden. So they started to do it publicly. And now people are even seeing these advertisements that they see all around them as something positive because it gives them the option of choice. Now you see when the next Nokia cell phone is going to come out, or the next Harry Potter movie, or the whatever. And you can get it. You can get the latest washing product, you can get the latest shampoo, and this is choice. A world of choice right at your fingertips. Fascinating, isn't it? And then, after that, it started up with making money virtual. Because money, which started up as a trading system, obviously, became a virtual system. Nobody actually works with cash almost. And it actually quite shocked me when we were flying back to Belgium from Hawaii. I think it was the New York to Belgium flight. No, that was British Airways. They're actually still different. But there is another airline, and I'm not going to mention the name, but they won't even allow you to get a drink of $5 without using your credit card. You can't pay cash anymore. And why? Because they say it's easier for the stewardess or whatever, but actually it's just making money virtual. Bringing these chips ever closer to you, that you can't do anything without that chip. And then at a certain point there is going to be something which is going to be loosened upon the earth. Type of disease or something. I can't go into details yet, but I've been working with a group to help this, to make this not happen, to make sure it doesn't happen. It's about a disease that could come out which would affect the neurotransmitters of the brain, and then science can, like 9/11, create fear and create a solution. You know, the very strong bonds on freedom that are created. In this case, it would be about the neurotransmitters of the brain, and actually it would have already taken place, but it didn't. And it can still. But I don't want to go into too much detail. What I want to say is that science would come up with a solution of a chip which would again enable the neurotransmitters of the brain to create the right energy bursts. Now, this is strange for you to hear it from my mouth, I understand this, but it won't be so strange when you hear it in the news. And you will hear it in the news, that that step wants to be taken at least. People won't stand for it. That's the good thing. Most people are now aware of the danger of technology. But to go back to the consciousness of animals, it is being affected. It is being affected, and it's basically a major test case to see how it would work on humans. And if it is necessary, humans could become the new animals to the most powerful people on the planet that wants to rule the planet. You see? Now I'm telling you all of this not as a shock, not as a danger bulletin or to scare you. I am just telling you to empower you. You don't need anything from the outside to be put in you. Not a chip, not a needle, not a type of medication, not a pill, anything. You just don't need it. The body can rebalance itself. The mind can rebalance itself. The energy field, the magnetics can rebalance themselves. It's what they do naturally as the energy raises. The akene that I'm telling you about is the thing that was used in Lemuria and beyond that, before that, to make sure that the body stayed in balance. And that the 3D reality was just but one reality of many that created a full spectrum, you see. It's like you told me just several days ago, I think 2 nights ago, you said it's insane that I'm stuck here behind my eyes. You know, I thought it was a very good remark. It's stupid that I'm stuck here behind my eyes. And as a little girl, she thought, I should be able to be in that tree. I should be able to be in that cat. I should be able to follow it, of course. It's natural. But it's the cutting away of your layers of DNA that have made it so that you can't. And all of that is being governed at this point by the energy of mind. It is the mind that is making sure that you can't raise yourself naturally. And a lot of us came back to give you this information, to make sure that humanity chooses differently, a different path. It is necessary. And that is why we are here. So many of us giving you this information. So once you start working with the akene, once you do the first level and you do the second level, you then activate the akene as the inner Merkaba body. And how do you do that? Well, you just take, like we did in Den Helder for those who actually went through the process, you take the one point right here and you take the other right there and you just squish them together. Because that is what creates the Merkaba. You squish them together. You don't squeeze them all together, but you make sure that that this part gets pushed in like half, and this part gets pushed in like half. So you get these two stars being born, you see? And what happens then? This is a lot of power that you're working with at that moment. Because as you are doing that, as these things are coming closer together, there is an exercise that you need to do. It is being the universe. Being all that is. I am that I am. You know what that means? I am that I am. A thing that Adamus likes to say so many times. It's very simple. It is understanding that you are that you are. It is understanding that you are the things around you and the things within. And as you squeeze that Merkaba body, as you activate that, as you squeeze these two levels of the akene together, go high. Go all the way from the earth, through the galaxy, through the cosmos, through the universe, through all the other universes, until you reach that wall of the all that is, which is photonic tachyonic in nature. It is Imzaia, dragon energy. Most people think that at one point the universe that we are in separated itself from God. Most people are saying this, that this is our guilt, that we separated ourselves from God. But we made a little mistake, didn't we? Sorry. Yeah, he wants to come in today, so he's just around here. But we made a little mistake. If that God energy, if that divine source energy is all that is, if that circle is all that is, that would mean that there is nothing here. And it doesn't work the same like with a cell that is going to turn into a human that would separate itself and create a second one here. No, this isn't God and this isn't reality. This doesn't work. What is actually taking place is that this universe was created here. You see? Right in the middle. Because there is nothing out here. And this is linear thinking that is blocking you from that. Linear thinking would say, but if you go further back, something should have created the source, something should have created all that is. No. It has always been there, it will always be there. It is circular thinking. If you want to see this, bless you. If you want to see all of this in small, then you get this point. If this point is this circle here, then this It's the energy of the divine. And that is infinity. And it is recreating itself with every time. Every time it's going round and round and round and round. It's recreating its very essence. But we aren't anywhere out here. We haven't separated ourselves from the divine, from all that is. We are just in here. We have created a bubble. A bubble within infinity of all that is. And within this bubble, there are many different universes. Many universes. Infinite universes. And they just keep coming, and they just keep going. Because they get born, and they die, and they born, and they die, again, and again, and again. It's infinite. Infinite energy within a finite space. You see? Now, as you are, like let's say this speck would be our universe. And in this speck there would be a galaxy. And on that galaxy there would be a solar system. And in that solar system there would be a planet. And on that planet there would be a human, and that's you. You think you are so small. That's it. Just a tiny speck of dust that you just push away if you don't want it. No, no. If you activate that akene, and make sure that you see yourself on that planet as a light source, and that as you leave that planet to go back to the divinity, that you see your speck of light on that planet, and that as you go outside of the solar system, you see that speck of light on another speck of light, which is planet Earth. And as you leave the solar system and you go out of the galaxy, and you see all these other solar systems around you, understand then that there is so much life around you. And as you go, you pull further away, you will just see the speck that is you, on the speck that is the planet, on the speck that is the solar system. And as you pull further away, you will see that solar system as a speck. Again, a little bit of light in a galaxy. And as you pull further away, you see all these other galaxies. And in the end, you see the universe. And in it, that little speck of light, which is our galaxy. And then you think you're done, right? But you're not done. Look around you then. You see all these other universes. All these others being born and dying again. And now we are still talking about 3D. Just keep in mind that there's infinite dimension out there. Infinite versions of you. As you then would leave this universe and see all of them around you, at a certain point you would hit a wall. That is tachyon photonic energy. Why photonic? Simple. Because photons are the basis of light. Both photons are basically that which is creating the elements. Photons, if you put them in a certain order, you get the energy of water. If you put them in a different order, you get the energy of earth. The energy, not the actual physical manifestation of it. If you put them in a different order, then you get the energy of air. And if you put those in a different order, well, and so on, and so on, and so on. You see? And all of those are simply based on frequency and vibration. That is why a long time ago, during one of the channelings, I believe it was, you got the information about O, Ah, Eh, Ich, referring to the chakra system, but also referring to the elements. But all of those elements are based on photonic energy. And that photonic energy, that's just the foundation, the basic principle of light. Now I say photonic tachyonic. Why tachyonic? Because if you were to say that this red line right here is photonic in nature, then there would be another line, just making it thicker. I'm not separating it from each other, I'm just making it thicker. I'm just bad at drawing, that's all. A line of tachyonic energy. Now, what is the nature of tachyonic energy? It either brings back into neutrality that which is a neutral, or it allows infinite energy to enter a 3D world. Tachyon source is the barrier in this case. It isn't just a barrier, it's also the carrier. It is the barrier when you leave 3D, when you leave the universe and all that is. But within that universe there is a possibility that which we have called portals, that allows you to jump from one point here to that point here without doing this. You don't do it, you don't move, you just jump from that point to that point and you're there. That's dragon energy. And you find them in all the portals on the planet. Now you have such a thing as, how should we call them? Time-space portals, yes. Time-space portals are those that you have been going through, that humanity and the planet has been going through in the last few years. It was called the harmonic convergence, the harmonic concordance, the Venus transit. It was called so many names, the 1111 portals, you all know about them. And it's humanity as a whole, the planet as a whole, going through those. These portals that I'm talking about now are cosmic gateways. Let's not call them portals, let's call them gateways. Just for the sake of making them different so that you don't get confused. Gateways basically are made up of photonic tachyonic energy. It's what you have called the dragons. If you go to one of the most important portals on the planet, PPP, one of the most important portals on the planet, games, we have to work with these things. We have to invent a new type of microphone. Then you would end up in Glastonbury. Yes. Glastonbury, where it's very cold right now. Glastonbury, where you find the Tor, T-O-R. The Tor is one of these portals, gateways actually. It's based on that dragon energy that identifies itself as Toraya. It has spoken before. There's another one, we're going there really soon. I think it is the 14th of December. And it's Camelot, obviously, in Tintagel. Tintagel. Tintagel.
It's the Celtic way.
Wat zeg je?
You have to say it in a Celtic way.
Tintagel.
It's not English, but Celtic.
Celtish, yeah.
That's why you say
Tintagel.
Tintagel, but Tintagel.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Those
Maybe
Brits. We know.
Maybe it could happen.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, over there, you have a gateway based on Camelot energy called Camelot, also a dragon. And there are others in Shasta, for instance, Shasaya. And there are many, many, many more gateways of such nature on planet Earth and throughout the galaxy. Now, and throughout the universe, I should say, and throughout all that is. If you combine all of those gateways, you get this border here, which calls itself Lemniscarian. It is basically the border of all that is. In this bubble, we experience all of our realities. As you activate that akene, take yourself up. Go through the planet, go through the solar system, go through the galaxy, go through the universe until you reach the edge and then step through it. If you do this, then saying I am really gets meaning. then the I in the I am is literally all that is. I have been training in the course of the last years many people, and well, actually when I say years I mean a long time. And most of those people, as they let go of their life and they started this training towards mastery, they oftentimes began with within them the desire to in the end reunify with that which they were leaving behind. Take for instance a person who was very much in conditional love with someone, and he would choose to let that person go. Part of his brain was still hoping that at one point, as he reached mastery, so would she, so that they could be together again. Isn't that cute? But what happens as you step out of this reality and you step into the I am? Then there is no longer a difference between I and that person. Then there is no longer a name for myself and that person. Then I is that person. You see? And as you activate the akene and become this, what some would call spirit or God or whatever, as you then squish those two triangles or those two pyramids together, then you take all of this energy, all of it, and you take it within. Because once you get here, you will realize where you are. And I know I'm being confusing right now, but part of you is understanding this. Once you are here, then you realize that you are here. You see? Then you realize that you have traveled the universe, gone higher, 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 crossed the barrier, and you find yourself in your body. Oops. You've never gone anywhere because you can't go anywhere, because there is no time, there is no space. There is no form, there is no separation, there is no exchange, there is no death. It's all bullshit. All of this, even though you are experiencing this, all of this is right here. And that is the basis of your akene. Are you beginning to grasp it? So as you take all that energy and you push those pyramids together, they start building up, building up, building up, building up, building up, building up. And all of a sudden, like a star that is dying, it implodes. And a sun is born. Right here. A sun that takes with it your own heart, the heart of all things, the memories of the now, your own fantasy, and bring it all together, that pineal gland energy. You see? That's all you need if you want to not escape this reality, but if you want to master it. And that is why you can activate this akene energy in a 3-step program. First you do the triangle for a while. Then you make the pyramids. And then you bring it all together by activating the Merkaba. And as that happens, you create the central sun, which would be this. Right here, inside of you. And then we can start talking. Because that is just the beginning. Once you have mastered this, you are beyond delusion. You understand the true principles of universal love, universal joy, and universal freedom. And you are no longer bound by anything. Then you are on your path. Then you are becoming the creator. And then, your biggest desire will be, as a sovereign servant of freedom and love and joy, which I would call free energy, as that sovereign servant you would recognize all those other aspects of you that are still stuck in that dream, and you would come back to assist and to help. And then the question no longer becomes, what do you want, as I was trying to say yesterday. Then the question becomes, why are you here? And it's not just a question for yourself, why am I here? It is a question that can begin all of your counseling sessions, if you would have counseling sessions. Because so many people, they're getting worked up about everything. And then they go into a counseling session. If you just ask them, why are you here? And that question has a lot of different shades of grey. Why are you here? In my intonation, I would try to go to that space where I would ask that person, why are you keeping yourself here? Why do you stay stuck? It's like going into an elevator and then letting the door close on you and just don't press the button to go higher. It's like, oh man, I'm stuck. I'm stuck, and you try to call the alarm number, but nobody is answering. And you wait for hours and hours and hours. And in the end, someone breaks up the top of that elevator. He comes into the elevator and he says, but you just had to press 7, you know. Or it's like that joke. You know, 2 people talking to one another. And the one says, my computer isn't working. And the other says, why not? And the first one says, because I haven't turned it on. You know? You can turn on your own computer. You just have to do it. Yeah, Herman understands that humor, doesn't he? Because I haven't turned it on. Now that's a stupid way to look at yourself, isn't it? I've been living this life right here, and I have never turned on my computer. I've never turned on my potential. I've never turned on my soul. Well, I just gave you the button. And again, it's not Ambika. Touch her now, quickly. The button to turn on that computer is the akene. You see? It's just about the rewiring process. And this is just a name that was used a long time ago. It doesn't need to be named the akene. Nobody will trademark this name. It will never become akene copyright or trademark. It will never become one of these things. It's just a name. You can call it
Akia.
Ambika. Sorry?
Akia.
Akaya. I see ne in French as birth. Well, actually, the akene in French, if you look up the word, then you will actually find the word bolster, like the seeds of an apple. You know, I oftentimes compare the akene to an apple seed, because as you see that the tree would be God, that the tree would be the divine, there, then the apple is growing on the tree. The apple is the human. And the apple grows on the tree. And it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, in touch with its divinity. At a certain point it is fully born, and it falls down the tree. It falls on the ground. And although it is very near to its own divine center, and to God, it can't touch God because it's there on the ground. And the apple, much like the human, needs to learn at a certain point that the seeds to create that God again are to be found in its inner heart. Because the apple can recreate God. It is there in the seeds. That is the akene. It is there in your seeds. You see? So you all carry the seeds from home because you are home. And when I say you are home, I don't mean you have traveled along space and you're home. You are home. It's you. This is you. You see? And this, and that's what makes it so difficult. This is your inside, and this is your outside. This is happening within the body, and this is happening on the outside of the body. And as you start mastering these illusions, you will learn about all of this. And you will see that it's not just a theory, it is very real and a very practical tool indeed. It's very simple. Now in the coming days, I have decided to go further than we have gone before. Because even though these teachings used to be given in a different light in years of past, long times ago sometimes, now we are forced to give them within this seminar context. Because people have no more time on their hands to say, I'm going to take a year off everything, or half a year off everything, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to set myself free. No, now they think it must be done in 5 days, or much prefer 3 days actually, then I only have to take 1 day off work. You know? Or maybe even a 1-day seminar. Yes, it's true. It can be done in a moment. Nobody understands the power of the moment. The power of the now, as Eckhart, Buddha, would say it. Buddha energy. The power of the now is infinite. And that is why so many people falter as they are on this process to self-liberation. Because there will be one moment when they have a thought or a problem or a frustration, an irritation, what have you not. And boom, it will all be gone again. And they will be at the beginning. The power of the moment is the power of eternity. Because in this moment, the entire universe is present. And in this one, and in this one, and in this one, and in the next, and in the next. So you can set yourself free in the power of one moment. All that you really have to do as you work through these illusions is to convince yourself of this fact. And that is what it's all about. Because of the illusions, and because of the conditionalism of life, you need to remember that you can do this. Because you have just been dreaming, you see. You have just been dreaming that you are this, while in essence you are this. And you were just playing a game. That is what someone like Steve Rother would say. You were playing a game. And yes, you were playing a game. Now you need to understand the power of the moment and how the moment can set you free forever. You don't need to stay stuck in here. You don't need to remain in this game. The game can continue, and the game will continue. This 3D experience will continue. But it's like you have a favorite show on television. Say Desperate Housewives. I love Desperate Housewives. I love Desperate Housewives, but if I were forced to watch it 3 weeks non-stop, I would hate Desperate Housewives. Without going to the bathroom, without doing anything. I would hate that external situation. And I would find my liberty within. I would find that space. You see? That is what it's all about. So it's like you have been watching that show called Life for such a long time. And in the end you are like Truman. in the Truman Show, stepping out of the box. And I'm sure if there would be a second part written to that movie, if I were to write a second part to that movie, I would put Truman, weird, I would put Truman in the real world, longing at a certain point, at first having so much fun because of all the freedom, and then at a certain point longing for all those people who are in that box. And he, after he had experienced his freedom, he would go back to set all those others free. You see? To let them know that they can exit. Now of course, in that movie all the others were actors. And this isn't true in this case. You are doing just the same thing like everybody else. Although there are people who are acting in your life. They are called presidents. And they are called politicians, etc. And although some start with good intent, as I have said yesterday, at a certain point in every politician's life, in every king or queen's life, there is a point when somebody steps up to them and says, "What do you want?" And in the end, the answer will be, "I want it all. I want power." In the end, that's what the ego will say. And power they shall be given. Power over you. It's a reality. What they don't know is that there is some bigger level where they are being fed to this greater power. But that is something for another time. But I just wanted to tell you this story. I don't know what time it is right now. Okay. I wanted to tell you this because you need to be really aware of what we're doing here. Of why we are here and why you are in this experience. What you have seen take place yesterday is nothing personal. It wasn't anybody doing anything. Look at your lives and look at all those people around you in your life. So many times you have been held back by someone when you wanted to do something that would be good for you, that would free you a little bit. So many times you have been held back by others who were giving you good advice. And what advice did they actually give you? It wasn't even them talking to you. It was the mind talking to you through them. Telling you, don't do it. Don't do it, you're gonna fall. Ooh, you're gonna hurt yourself. You think you can fly? Ooh, you're gonna hurt yourself. Not gonna work. Nope, nope. And while they're saying it, you're cutting your wings. Just cutting your wings. And you stay small. And you get smaller. And every time your brain wants to have this good thought of liberation, the experience that others have given you shall come back in. No, don't do it. It's not going to work. Ooh. Oh, don't quit your job. Don't do it. And once you do it, and you feel free, well then they'll have other things to attack you with. Oh, now you're in a cult probably. I haven't seen you for a year. You're in a cult, aren't you? Or you must be on drugs or something. What are you doing? Why are you acting this way? I don't even recognize who you are anymore. Of course, because I don't bound by the same rules as you were. I'm free now, and I can take you with me. Oh no, they don't want any of that. Don't take me with you. No, I need to go to my job now. I need to go to work, otherwise they'll miss me.
Don't brainwash me.
Are you talking to me? Yeah, I know. Yeah. And then, When they go back to their work and you talk to them again later on, you say, so are you happy there? Oh no, I'm not happy. My boss sucks. Really, it's the worst boss in the universe. Why do you stay there then? I need to pay my bills. Why do you need to pay your bills? Well, I need my car. Yeah, but do you need two? Do you need 2 television sets? Do you need a car? Do you need a television? I need my house. No, you are your house. Ooh. I need my house. I need to pay my bills. I need to do all of that. No. No. Yo, you don't. You can create another way. You can choose the path of freedom. And sometimes someone might hear you. Most of the time, they will just be afraid and they won't hear you. I know everybody here in the fellowship that has been traveling with us for months now probably had the same thoughts at one point. But how am I going to do it? What happens if I leave my job? What's going to happen to my bills and everything? There are other ways. You have within you the power of creation. You can be this instead of this. Just this. You can be both of it. And these paths will take you to spaces that you won't even have considered every day when you were driving to that job. Or maybe it was your dream that you would go there one day, and you can. But that's just the beginning, and at the point you will see that it's not even about going to any space, going any place. It's just going to be about here. Being here now. Ea ich chipa. And that's a space of feeling. It's not a space of exercise. It's not a space of training in the sense that you think of training. It's not doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not about that. It's about allowing the movement to happen. Being the constant movement. Consciousness, my dears, is about constant movement. Constant. And then you are in a space where you no longer fall back. Then you recognize the power of the moment. In every word that I say to you, I have the power of the universe available. In every look that you look, in every moment that your heart beats, you have the power of the universe available. And then we're not talking about any type of secret where you can see the universe as a catalog and pull towards you anything that your heart desires, because all you're doing then is just create a better prison. We're talking about letting go of that prison. We are talking about creation in such a fashion that it's about liberation, universal freedom. And to bring it back to where I began this morning, if you go to that space, here, in the center, and you are that sun, then all you need to do is simply be there now. And your energy will start an automated, recognized, and honored movement to go higher. And in the end, you will be all things again. We have about 2.5 days left. Yesterday afternoon, we took the afternoon off so everybody could be within themselves, close to themselves. Originally the plan was to do that this afternoon. as you remember from the newsletter. We are obviously not going to do that again this afternoon. So, after lunch, we're going to come back before lunch, but after lunch, we're going to start again. And we're not going to start again with the seminar. We're going to start again with the teaching. And it's not going to be what you are used to. It's not going to be dancing around, it's not going to be exercises. It's going to be direct, it's going to be honest. And in some cases, to your mind, it's going to be brutal. But you need to see this. I have now, and we have now, 2.5 days left to bring you a gift that you have given yourselves already. I just have to point it out to you. Will it work? I don't know. But I do know that I believe in all of you and that you can make it work. In 2.5 days, 2.5 minutes, or 2.5 seconds, if you want. Last time in Den Helder, Ikara and Kutumi spoke to you about the Universal Manifest, about putting all the pieces together, and that within the manifest are openings, missing pieces that can be filled up by your own personal set of keys depending on your experience. That key is to be found with other teachers, such as Eckhart, and so many others. Try in the coming days to look at your life, how it has guided you towards these keys, and what is your own personal set of keys. What things have touched you to the deepest of your core? What things that you have read, heard, seen, or experienced in the course of your life? These are your keys. It could be a sentence, it could be a word, it could be anything. It was provided to you so that you would have the means of escape, so that you could turn the set of keys. All of your life has led you to that liberation. And this is your top life, where you are bringing together all of the experiences of all the other lives that you have lived. And that means that you have these things available to you. All the experiences that you have lived, maybe hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, universes ago. And some have been here on the planet for a very long time. Here are a lot of keys on this planet. They have been implanted by those light beings, that first group of 500 that came here. You would call them angels. And they're closer than you think. They're sitting right here in between you sometimes. And actually, if you were to look in the mirror, you would see that angelic self. You would see all of those points of time where your life has touched you in such a way that you can no longer deny it. Find these moments now. Use the rest of this morning to find these moments. And the rest of the 2 days that are ahead, and the half day that is today. Find them. And we'll make sure that you know how to implement them. So that is what the rest of these days are going to be about. And we're going to bring the Damas and the others back in sometimes to assist you. And sometimes the assistance will come from myself. And then you will see what you can make happen. What miracle that you can make happen in just a couple of days. Now, before I end and before we go into the break, there's one last thing I want to tell you. If you feel that this is not for you yet, or ever, if you feel that you are not going to take that grand gift in the coming 2 days and a half, then I would suggest that you find a better way to spend your time. Because then you are here for no reason at all. Think very well about this. I'm not looking at anyone, I'm trying to avoid any eye contact right now. To think, oh, he's talking to me. Just trying to look in between you. But if that were to happen, then just choose wisely. Okay? Now, it must be later than 11:30. Oh no, it's 11:30. We'll have a 15-minute break and we'll be back here at 11:45. And we have three quarters of an hour to go on before lunch. Okay? See you later.